Uningangenanga iyanibetha.
Okay.
Yes, we are live. We are live.
Facebook wakho?
Facebook as well as YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, Facebook one. So you can copy. You can. I can forward it through to you, or what you can share or something.
Yeah, no, because I wanted to share. Hey.
Oh, so can you do it yourself? Or do you want me to do something?
Share it on my Facebook and then also share on my WhatsApp.
Okay. Yes, I can see that there are people who are starting to join, both on Facebook as well as on YouTube. I'd like to welcome on this beautiful Sunday out here in Gauteng. I don't know in other provinces, but the weather is beautiful where I am this afternoon. And yeah, people are coming in. We're just gonna give them a bit more time. Maybe others are still wiping off the crumbs from the Sunday lunch and the desserts. Some are taking in the last sips, but drinks, so that they can join this thing without any disturbance. And yes, ZB, I'm so happy to have you, man. I'm trying to share this thing with you. Okay, I've shared it with you, ZB, on your WhatsApp. So
okay, I see it.
Yeah. Can you share it on your Facebook as well? Because I don't know how to do that on this thing.
Let me try.
Let you try. Okay. And I see people are joining in numbers. I'd like to welcome all of you. Who are joining on our Facebook page as well as on our YouTube channel. It's always a pleasure to have you, friends, on a Sunday to discuss or to just participate in conversations about a variety of issues that affect us or that we're interested in, both at a personal level, but also generally as a country and as communities and families. Whatever you think about, we talk about here. Whatever you think about, we talk about here. So, I've even sent it to you on your. Okay, I see you sharing it, ZB. That's good. The numbers are going up. And I'm so happy that we're having quite a few people joining. Quite a number of you are joining us, and I appreciate that. We don't take your participation lightly. We know that you have lots to do. But if you're just relaxing at home, just having a good Sunday afternoon, your favorite soccer team has not started playing now. So at least you have a moment just to relax. If you just had your lunch. Fortunately, we've got both of us here, Zolani and myself, they are here. Last week, ZB, we had a bit of a trouble with the internet connectivity. So I'm glad today that it does seem as if everything is okay. All right. Are you coming in? Okay. All right. Let me do this. Let me just get to. We're going to start now. I think we've got enough people to get started. ZB, I think there's an echo. If you can just reduce the volume in one of your devices.
I don't have any device.
There are two devices that have come in as Zolani.
Oh, I entered twice.
Yeah, you entered twice. Yeah, I think that's the reason for the.
How do I come? Okay.
What I'll do, I'll remove the one.
Yeah, remove one.
Okay. I now need, I can't see your face. If you can just put your face up or your video, sorry, if you put your video up.
Okay. Can you see me?
Not yet, ZB. There's still an echo. Okay, let's do this.
See again.
Okay, I'm going to remove you on the other one. Okay. Okay, ZB, I've removed the other one.
Can you see me now?
I can see you now, yeah, and there's no echo anymore. There's still a bit of echo, but it now and then goes. But I think let's get started. If you can just reduce, if you can sort of reduce your, what you call this, your volume when you are not speaking, because the echo is still continuing. Okay. All right. I'd like to welcome everyone again to Moments of Insight and Growth, a show that is intended to help you see things differently. The purpose of these sessions really is to inform, inspire, and help you to really see things from different perspectives, and for you to go away thinking about something in order to form your opinion about it, and to do something about what you're learning if you think there is value in it. And we do this by talking to people who are making comments or who are adding value to society on particular issues. And today it's my honor to have Zolani, I call him ZB. Zolani Simayi, man that I've known for many years. And Zolani has really grown to be a real formidable academic and researcher. Some people may even call you controversial, ZB. on some of your comments and so on. But notwithstanding all of that, we are so grateful to have you here. Can you still hear me?
Yes. Loud and clear.
Okay. Please greet our viewers.
No, let me greet everyone. Hi, I hope you can all hear me and see me.
Yes. Okay. I don't know what you're going to do. This echo continues, but we'll see what we can do about that as we go on. For now, we're just going to carry forward. For those of you who do not know about Zolani Simayi, Zolani he works for the University of Limpopo as a coordinator of preclinical sciences in the Department of Pathology. Big names there, big words there, ZB. I'm sure you're going to tell us a bit about that. He's also a member of the Employment Equity Committee from 2016 to 2020. He is a chair of NEHAW, a union of workers. I think he was up until recently. I think he can tell us a bit more about that as well. What it is that he is doing there and NEHAW is trying to achieve. He is the chairperson of NEHAW University of Limpopo branch, and he has also served in the Regional Executive Committee, which is the biggest NEHAW region there in South Africa. And so, ZB, welcome, and please just tell us about yourself first and foremost. ZB, you were thin and slender. You're fit now and really looking, I don't want to say you're looking buff, you're looking great. What are you doing, man? There's a transformation that's taking place with you. Share us about that.
No, thanks, Prophet.
Yeah.
No, I Gym is my second nature. Let me put it that way. And then unfortunately, then I do not train to be buffy or muscular. I just train to be lean. But then in the process, of course, now I won't get to that, but in the process of exercising, you develop what we call muscle hypertrophy.
Muscle hypertrophy.
Meaning, yes, meaning your muscles, they grow every time you exercise or you put them under strain. Then they develop, they grow. And then that's where because in the process of, this is important, especially for athletic members, athletic club members, the Adventist one. You see, people tend to think losing weight is to run. This is how I look at it scientifically, to say the more you work your muscles, especially the core muscles, now what you are doing, you are speeding up metabolism. So then when that metabolism is up or high, very efficient, then what happens is then you begin to experience what we call lipogenesis, meaning now your fats, they start to go down. You're melting your fat. But your muscle keeps there at the right size, because you see, there's that thing where you balance. You are losing, but you are gaining. Then in the end, you end up at the balance state. So that's where I am. I'm trying to balance what's this, lipogenesis together with anabolism. Anabolism is where your muscles grow. So that's what maybe shapes my body. And then
okay. I can almost see that we're going to have another conversation. Last week we had Umatoti met. He ran the marathon, and today we're hearing a bit more about what you're talking about. I think we're going to bring you back again. Zedby, tell us about yourself. Where were you born? Where you went to school, up until where you are now, in a brief sentence.
Okay, Uzolani is the only begotten son of Unomzi. So I was the only boy, or should I say I'm the thorn among 4 roses. I have 4 sisters. Actually, I should say 4 beautiful sisters, not just sisters. So yeah, and I grew up. By the way, I was born in Lexington. You remember that stadium? There was a controversy on that stadium.
Which one?
Cost about 15 million.
Oh, yes.
That's my birthplace. That area is where my parents grew up, and I was born there.
Okay.
But I don't even remember a thing, because we moved then to Ezbelin, near Queenstown. Then that's where I grew up. So I studied there most of the times. And my final year was at Bulelani High School. Those who are still there, Ezbelin, they might know Bulelani High School. So then I moved. Then I went back to Cape Town, because when I was doing standard 6, 7, I was in Cape Town.
Yeah.
So Cape Town, Queenstown, Cape Town, Queenstown, it was like that. And then eventually when I passed my matric, that's when I moved permanently to Cape Town. So we stayed at Langa, but I was at UWC. So I studied there at UWC. Then we moved to Khayelitsha. So that's where we are now, Khayelitsha.
Okay.
Yes.
Now you were at UWC, and you started off what appeared to be unassuming, slow academic, but suddenly you just developed, I don't know, the insatiable appetite for learning. Tell me about what did you do, what did you learn, and what are you doing now?
No, there I must appreciate UWC, because you see that process which you regard as it was a bit slow. No. It was the supervisor, his style of training, though we didn't like it because he tended to keep you for long. But I can promise you, by the time you get out of his pot, then you show your true colors. So I guess
Yeah.
that's what you are talking about now. So he
No,
keeps
no, well,
you
so,
for a
sorry,
long
ZB.
time.
I just need to correct myself. I didn't mean that you were slow in graduating, but I'm saying if I was looking at you, you seemed like you were quiet, you were just doing your studies and so on, and suddenly you sort of burst into the. I remember at what is that group? The Adventist group on SASTA.
Yes,
SASTA.
yes, Sasta,
You came
yes.
out very strong there. That's basically what I meant. You can carry on. Yeah.
Ish. No, I don't know how to explain that part, which it also sometimes surprises me.
Yeah.
And like what you are saying exactly, when I tell people I'm shy, they don't believe me. But I think when I'm prepared, the career changes you,
Mm.
and the people you interact with, they change you.
Yeah.
Remember, we were all together at Langa, so there was no way of remaining in the cocoon there,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
I mean, Solombela will come and say, "Hey, Mdagasmai, don't you have something to share?" That slowly it takes you out of your cocoon, because now you'll be like, "Ish, I'm not an isolated island here. I must come out." And then I went to South Korea. I think that's when the transformation happened. Or maybe it was there, but South Korea then afforded it the opportunity. Because when you are there in South Korea, everything is on you. You must entertain the students. You can't be boring, because if you are boring in class, then the students will resign or will deregister. And then remember, Asians are very sensitive. So if you come and reserved there one day, second day, they are gone. So they're not like us South Africans who will tolerate and tolerate. No, they say day one, day two, this guy is boring, they are gone. They deregister, like they 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 talked about it. So then I had a friend, fortunately, Ukuku. He's the one who coached me to say, this is how we do it here. This is not South Africa. This is not UWC. Akobo Supatselala. So that's how I got to lose Busupatsela.
All right. Let's do this. Let's do this. The people are saying whenever I speak, there's an echo. I can hear it as well. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to go out and come back.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just going to come back now. So just give me a few seconds, viewers. I'll be back. How does it sound now? Oh, so it's still happening. ZB, let's do this. Let's go out and then come back. I'm just worried about this echo. Okay,
Both
I'm
of us.
gonna, friends, please just bear with me. We're just gonna come back now. I'm just worried about this echo. Come back just now.
Okay.
Sure. Hello, can you hear me? ZB, come back in. Okay. Let's see how it sounds now. Can you hear me, ZB?
Yes, I can hear you.
Wonderful, wonderful. The echo is no longer there. I'm so happy now. ZB, I know that we could talk about your background. There's so much
Yeah, it's a
fat in that
lot.
background. I mean, I was quite interested to talk to you about your time in Asia and about, but now let's zero back into where you are now. What are you doing at Limpopo?
Okay. One, as you were saying, or when you were introducing me, I'm a coordinator. If you could please, it's equivalent to the head of the department. Let me explain by saying last year I was the head of the department, but now the university changed the. So I was the head of the department in preclinical sciences under School of Healthcare Sciences. But then we changed, we moved from healthcare sciences because the argument was your sciences, they belong to medicine. So you need to come and teach medicine students. So we moved to medicine, School of Medicine.
Yeah.
But in order to not compromise the standards of medicine, you see, the head of medicine, sometimes the practice is that either the VC or the dean or the director or the HOD must be a medical practitioner. So then we had to move back and allow a medical doctor to be the head of the department because we came in as two departments. So we merged as two departments.
Okay.
It was medical sciences and then preclinical. Then we merged into the Department of Pathology.
Okay.
But then we still maintain like coordinating. So I am then the coordinator, but I am also lecturing human genetics.
Okay. Yeah. Big things, ZB. And let's pass on by quickly because I want us to get to the meat of our discussion. You are involved as well in union. I can see your T-shirt. You know, you are a union guy. What are you doing as a union member or leader?
Yes, I am the union member. NEHAU, that is National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union.
Yes.
So I think my activity and I can talk. And also, I can be confrontational. I can be courageous. I can be fearless. So apparently, I'm sure I didn't know. People saw that from a distance.
Yeah.
And they are like, no, we want that guy to be our chairperson.
Okay.
So 2018, I was surprised when they elected me as the chairperson of the branch until July 2022.
Yeah.
So I was supposed to step down in July 2022. But then people said, the work you have done does not allow us to let you go. So we want you back until 2026.
Wow. Man, that's leadership right there. ZB. All right. That's leadership right there, ZB. Man,
but it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah?
It's tough. It's
I
tough.
can imagine. Yeah, I'm sure you're rubbing people the wrong way sometimes as well. It's not easy.
It happens.
Yes. Yeah, I've heard the feedback that the feedback is now gone. At least I'm happy about that. If there's anyone who still hears the feedback, just let me know. Because I was reading here, I see Aubrey. That's why is here. Hey, my bro Aubrey. Says revolutionary greetings to Zolani. I like your T-shirt, leader. Thomas, Kenneth Thomas Matthias here. He was telling me about the echo. Lutando Dabambi is also here. Ustino Zulu Mbafane. Nangu Amanda Amish, good to see you. guys. And I see here on the YouTube channel, I see Yanga is here. There's also Jesuit takeover of USA September is also here, and maybe others I may not see. Now, let's get to the meat of our conversation. If you still have a problem with hearing, please let me know. ZB, illegal immigration and unemployment in South Africa. It's a big topic. It's a big, controversial, emotive topic that is now finding itself entrenched in South Africa. Now, I read on the Bloomberg, online newsletter say where that government is trying to create 2 million jobs for South Africans before 2024. And that year is very important in the political calendar of the country. They are doing this by clamping down on foreigners. Now, it says about 12 million South Africans are without jobs. Unemployment, according to the expanded definition, which includes people who are available for work and so on, is 45%. What is the link between illegal immigration or immigration and unemployment?
Hey,
you decide where you want to take this elephant.
Okay, thank you. I was thinking that to say, hey, this is a big elephant.
Yeah.
And knowing me, I can be very passionate. So now I'm thinking I need to control myself. But here's the thing, and then I always like to give a context.
Yeah, please.
These are politicians who are saying this. Number one. Now you know the space I operate in. I operate with politicians. But mine is a bit different because I bring an element of ethics and Christianity into it. But I'm observing what's happening.
Yeah.
Now, these are politicians who are saying this. And as you rightly said, we are approaching elections.
Yeah.
Politicians don't do anything that will not benefit them.
Yeah.
We are here, number one, because of them. That's number one. The unemployment should be attributed to them. Number one, they are the ones who lack creativity. Number two, they are the ones who are busy with nepotism. Number one, three, they are busy with chronism and comradeship. And all that, now bringing their friends, their relatives, their Nazis, not serving the citizenship. That's firstly.
Yeah.
So now they fail to make the economy work. They fail to create jobs, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, because they lack proper leadership, they do things haphazardly. It's shortcuts. Let me, with your permission, let me give you the history or the context of this immigration issue.
Yeah, please.
By the way, I prefer to call it irregular immigration.
Okay.
But illegal is still fine. Yeah. But what I'm trying to say, if I say irregular, I should understand I mean the same thing.
Okay, all right.
2006 to 2011, South Africa became the top country of hosting asylum seekers.
Yeah.
They were not one of the top. They were number one in terms of having the highest number of asylum seekers.
Which year was that? 2006 to 2011?
2006 to 2011. But in that period, 2009 was a peak year.
Yeah.
Then it started to drop. Now, you ask why? Obviously, immigrants or migrants, they will move where there's peace, there's stability, there's economic activity.
Yes, yeah.
So now South Africa became the target or the destiny for most migrants.
Yeah.
Different migrants.
Mm.
Now, because going back to the politicians, the governing party or the politicians who are currently there, because they lack leadership, they could not come up with a proper international policy. They simply had things open up like that.
ZB, before you move, I just wanted to make sure that everybody follows us. You use the term asylum seekers. Did I hear you
Yes,
correctly? What
yes,
does
yes,
that
yes.
mean? What is the meaning of that? How does it differ from, for example, a refugee or an economic migrant? Yeah.
Good question. I think it's good that we move with the terms.
Yeah.
One, you have an economic migrant. An
Yeah.
economic migrant is someone who's looking for better job opportunities.
Yeah.
That's an economic migrant. And then
Yeah.
an asylum seeker is when there's war, there's instability, there's infighting. I was thinking about it yesterday to say there are countries where the time you wake up to the time you sleep, it's a sound of a bullet. Then you have children living in that condition. So then people will decide to say, no, I can't live in this environment with my children. Then they migrate. Yeah, they migrate.
Yeah.
When they come to South Africa, they have left everything where they are. Remember, when they come to South Africa, they don't have papers. Then they are allowed in. But now when they are in the country, they come and say, we want to apply for the status of being a refugee.
Yeah.
Now that one is called an asylum seeker because they are still looking, their status has not been confirmed.
Okay. Okay.
So meaning their application is still in the process, in the system.
Yeah.
So, but then once they become asylum seekers, they are provided security.
Okay.
They can stay in the country.
Legally.
So no one will be harassing them and asking them for documents.
Yeah.
They are applying. And then now, once their status is confirmed, then they become refugees.
Okay. Very important definitions there.
And then an economic migrant is the person, let's say one who has the skills, has the education, or a teacher. Then they apply for a special visa or special permit. Then they are given that permit. Then they get a job. That's an economic migrant.
Okay. 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 Thank you so much for that. And now you were talking about the fact that within that period of time, there was a peak of people all over the country coming in. I take it that some of those people there's different types of categories that you're mentioning now that were coming into the country. And if I heard you correctly, those people who were running from war, environmental problems in their countries and upheavals, when they get here, they are taken care of. They form part of the legal structure. Now, let's talk about the illegal immigrants or irregular immigrants. Who are these people?
Thank you. You are leading me now. So remember, in those who are called asylum seekers, they are fake asylum seekers.
Okay.
Remember, South Africa has a very generous immigration system. Very generous. In other countries, there will be a camp for refugees. In South Africa, you become a refugee, say, no, go get your business, go to school, go look for a job. That's how generous the system is. So in South Africa, I think because of our history, the ANC decided, no. We lived in camps, but when we get our freedom, we're not going to have those things. So the country does not have camps. And I think that's what also attracts people.
Mm.
So now I said they are fake ones.
Yeah.
Those who are not running from war.
Who are not running from war. Yeah.
Yes. But they just want in.
Mm.
But they don't qualify for the ordinary because the visa is strict, right?
Yeah.
When you use the Immigration Act, that it becomes strict.
Mm.
But I hope you will get to that point.
We will get there.
Now
Yes. Yeah.
let's talk about this one of asylum seeking and the excuse me, irregular immigrant. And then
Yeah.
let's take Zimbabweans there. Remember,
Okay.
I love Zimbabweans. You do know that. Of all people, you know it.
Yes, I do. I do. Yeah.
So now, that time where we were picking, remember, it was the time also in Zimbabwe, there was a problem
Mm.
where there was Tsvangirai trying to overtake Mugabe.
Yeah. It was a normal party political competition. Am I right?
Internally in Zimbabwe.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
also it became now a political crisis because all the MDC supporters were being harassed.
Yeah. That's where the crisis came in. Yes.
Yes. And then people were like, no, I can't survive here. Now, this is where the problem of the ANC now, right? I want you to take note of that.
Mm.
The poor leadership with the ANC, instead of confronting Mugabe
Mm.
and say, fix your house or else, they didn't do that. They said, oh, okay, it's fine. We have, within SADC, there are memorandum of understandings between the SADC countries. And there are issues of migrant labor involved there.
Mm.
So then South Africa said, look, we do have a memorandum of understanding with Zimbabwe. It's fine, let's assist them. Now they, because that time, 2009, they were flooding into the country illegally.
Mm.
And I remember in Parliament, the deputy minister around was complaining at a certain point to say, look, our asylum system is going to crash, telling Parliament. Why? Because it was overloaded. People who were not supposed to be refugees were applying there. So now they will have to look at, remember that system was very cumbersome. They will have to apply and then they will process, then they will reject the application. And then the process of appealing the rejection is a long one. But when you are appealing, you are still kept safe. You must be provided security, social security.
Yeah.
Because you are still within the system, but you are just appealing. And then that process of appeal was very cumbersome. So it means even if you are rejected, you can still in the country, stay in the country for 2 or 3 years.
Without any validation or approval of your appeal.
You are waiting for your appeal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was the problem. And they didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
And then they looked around the country, they realized that we have a ticking time bomb. We have a problem of irregular immigrants. We don't even know the number. At some point they said 1 million, and then they said 2 million, then they said 3 million. No, I'm not talking about Zimbabweans only. They said undocumented
people in the country. Yes.
Zimbabweans, not people.
Oh, Zimbabwean people. Okay. Yes.
Yes. Undocumented. Then they were like, we have a crisis. And at that time, I remember I was coming from South Korea and I would travel to Zimbabwe. And this is a nice story that I love to tell.
Yeah.
And I would get there at By Bridge.
Mm.
One time I was coming back from Zim. I'm relaxed, and my passport was still fresh with the visa from South Korea.
Korea. Mm.
Then they will engage me to say, hey, why you want here? I said, no, I'm a South African and blah, blah, blah. I was in South Korea, but now I'm coming to see my family and what.
Mm.
So on my way back, as I'm in the bus, I'm like, this is disturbing.
Mm.
So I'm sitting next to this guy. This guy is so excited. He shows me his letter of appointment for a job. And it says, I think it was saying 7.5, his salary. And I'm like, And at that time, I didn't know much better, but something was telling me to say something is not right here. And as before the bus left, then the driver said, if you know your documents are not in order, come to us, to the front.
He makes the announcement to everyone.
Inside the bus.
Yeah.
And then people went, and then I'm relaxed, and then this guy comes to me, says, can I see? And then he noticed that I'm relaxed. Then I looked at him and said, what do you want? Then he said, no, it's fine. Then I could hear he speaks in Ndebele to the other driver, says, no, wasn't Zanzilo. And then he goes on. Almost everyone in that bus had a South African ID. And I didn't have a Zimbabwean ID. I only had a passport. It's fine. Then we get there. And I'm trying to show a picture. We are still going to remain with the problem of irregular immigration for 20 years or so until we know where the root problem is. But the problem is that we have leaders who cannot diagnose the problem. That's where the problem is.
Okay.
Now, so we get to Byte Bridge. And then we are going to get into the bus now after our passports have been stamped.
Yeah.
Now we're inside South Africa now. Then there's this queue on the bus. So I'm relaxed and I'm waiting, and then it moves this queue. What was happening there? Every person was giving 200 rands to the police.
South African police.
Yes. They will look at the ID and then page, and then get the 200 and allow. You know, the 200 was meant for those IDs. People were not supposed to have IDs. They bought them. So now they are avoiding the police to take them. Okay. So they give them 200 rands. And that was a deal that the police made with the drivers. So it came to my turn. Then I gave him my passport. Then he turns like he doesn't care. He looks at me and I'm looking at him. Then he says, and you? I'm like, what? He says, hey, why are you looking at me? And then he had to come out clean to say, where's your 200? I was like, you are sick. I was like, you are sick. Me paying 200 to enter into my country, that's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. So I refused. And then he realized, no. This is a typical South African. So he said, get in. He pushed me. So that's the problem. So then the government said, now we know there are. Yes, sir.
Sorry. We're gonna now go to what the government responded. Clearly, this whole issue of illegal immigration is corrupt. There's a corruption on all sides, and the borders are down and everything. So that situation is the backdrop to this whole thing. Now, I do want us to zone in on the whole issue. You see, you're talking about the special issue of the Zimbabwean as an example, Zimbabwean people as an example. But in actual fact, immigration includes all these other countries. You talk about Congo, you talk about Botswana, you talk about Zambia, and so on. Now, how did this matter become a contentious matter in South Africa, and this whole matter be linked to unemployment of South Africans? What is the role of government and what is the role of business in creating those conditions? Because what you found and what has been in the media is that there are sectors that have been taken over completely from South Africans.
Yes.
So how did that happen? Is that a reality, or is that someone's fears or insecurities?
Let me quickly give you like this one was saying. So I was saying to you that number of, I know there are others from Lesotho and all that, but I'm trying to give this one that is on the headlines now.
Yes, it's a big problem.
So now government said, no, let's give amnesty to those who bought the IDs. Those IDs, they were sold for 15,000, for 20,000. So if you are a Zimbabwean, you have a 15,000, you get your ID, then you get a job.
Yes, okay.
Then the government said, no, let's get people to surrender their IDs. Then we'll replace your ID with a permit. And they call that project.
So the government,
yeah.
So are you suggesting that the government acknowledged that there were people who had secured IDs illegally, so they wanted to deal with that problem through these permits? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So then they came up with a project known as Zimbabwe Documentation Project, or Zimbabwe Dispensation Project. That project started in, I think it was, official implementation was 20 September 2010.
2010, yeah.
Then it was going to last for 4 years. So what it meant, because that one was, the reason I'm emphasizing on Zimbabwe is because it was not given to other countries.
Okay.
It was only given to Zimbabweans. So in other words, you did not have to go through the Immigration Act to apply to stay in the country.
Okay.
You just show that I am studying, you show the proof of acceptance. I have a business, here's my business. I have been employed, here's proof of employment. Whether you were employed illegally or not, they will accept that. Then they will give you now that permit, which lasted up until December 31st, 2014.
Yeah.
Then instead of now, because that was what was non-renewable, sorry. You could not renew that one. And I want to mention something here. That ZDP did not qualify you to have a permanent residence.
Okay.
The only people who qualified were those who came through the Immigration Act.
Okay. So this was a special dispensation.
Thank you very much. A very special dispensation for Zimbabweans.
Yeah. Okay.
It was meant to alleviate the burden from our asylum seeking system. Now it expired in 2014, 31st December. Then Malusi Gigaba introduced another one called a Zimbabwe Special Permit. Zimbabwe Special Permit was easy. You produce to say, no, I have a ZDP. Then you get the ZSP, which was supposed to expire in December 31st, 2017.
Yeah.
September or August 2017, it was now Prof. Hlengiwe Mkhize.
Who was the minister?
Announced, yes, of Home Affairs. Announced that because even the ZSP was non-renewable, meaning you can't apply for permanent residence using it, said no, there are still problems in Zimbabwe, politically and economically. We are still going to introduce a new one, another system or permit, which is known as Zimbabwe Exemption Permit.
Which is a ZEP.
Yes, the current one.
Yeah.
It expired it started in July 2018.
Yeah.
Sorry, January 2018.
Yeah.
It was supposed then to expire in December 31st, 2021.
Yes.
If you remember last year, there was a furore, there was fighting.
Yeah.
Then it was extended to December 2022. Again, because of the pressure, then Aaron Mutsualedi last year or two, sorry, last week or 2 weeks ago, said we are going to now extend the expiry date of the ZEP to June 30, 2023.
Just
now,
on that point, just hold your point. Don't forget your point.
Okay.
Are these people not stringing people along, just creating an uncertainty? I mean, what is this idea of just stringing people along, extending, without really showing any confirmation as to what is going to happen? There are people who are saying, I've been here for the last 10 years. I've built a house. I've got a family here. So the question that I want to find out, what is it that is different now in Zimbabwe that has made them to say they want to end this permit? Why do they keep stringing people along? Why don't they make a final decision and then everybody is aware as to what's going to happen either way? Because either way, it's going to affect people in various ways. Yeah.
So let me start quickly there. And I'm glad I initially said, you yourself, of all people, you know how I love Zimbabwe.
I do.
And
yes.
Kenneth Mate is here. He will tell you that.
Yeah.
Very wonderful people, especially Amandebel. I love them. Now,
it's because you can hear them, you can understand.
Sure. People must be fair. People must be fair, Prophet. That argument of saying I've been here for 11 years, it's neither here nor there.
What do you mean?
When you were given the ZDP, you knew it's expiring in 2014. And you knew it is non-renewable. But then came ZSP. You knew ZSP and ZEP were on the same conditions, that it is non-renewable. It does not qualify you for permanent residence. So someone who got the ZEP way back in 2018 or 2017, they knew when they were applying that I am here until 2021. They should not act as if they didn't know. They need to be fair to. They need to be fair to South Africans. They need to be fair to the South African government.
But ZB, you are a unionist.
Yes.
You are from a unionist point of view. Unions say to employers, you can't keep on renewing someone's contract without really indicating that you renew it for 5 years. Surely you need this person. Now, what is different in this case? And the other thing I want to just we're talking here about people that have regularized their stay, which is the Zimbabweans, but the Zimbabwean people also, I think the Lesotho and I think the Angolans, they have other dispensations. Now, I do want us, once you finish your point, I do want us to go back to the illegal immigration part, because what has happened in if I heard you correctly, is that at the beginning there was illegal immigration, and the government felt that they could not control it, so they would rather just regularize and make it and legalize it. And so, but that situation has not resolved how local people are feeling. Now, I want to come back to this issue of illegal immigration and employment and unemployment. But please finish your point.
At least at least thank you. You allowed me to give that history.
It's important, yeah.
Now let's link now with employment.
Yeah.
That ZEP or ZSP allowed people to go and hunt for jobs.
Yeah.
Meaning now you have more people in the job market. Now that obviously creates now competition. Because now you are now saying to the citizens, go compete with non-citizens. And that can't be fair. Let me tell you why it can't be fair. I've read, this is me, you know, I read a lot.
Yeah.
I've read the Immigration Act of Zimbabwe.
Yes. What does
You
it
are
say?
not allowed, you are not allowed in Zimbabwe.
To do what?
To work. You can only do business.
Really? Is that so?
It's very strict, very strict. And you see, sometimes we get to be too sensitive. The language in the policy of Zimbabwe, or the Act, Immigration Act of Zimbabwe, it puts the word foreign nationals. It doesn't beat around the bush. It says foreign nationals must get permission from the minister. And then you go to the Namibia one. The Namibia one is very, very specific to say, no, unless there are no Namibians for this job, then you can take over the job. And then you go to Botswana one. The Botswana one is similar. It says, when you allow a foreign national to get papers, you must do so looking at the interest of Botswana. So you are offering this job to a South African. Is that at the best interest of Botswana? That's the question the minister asked. So it's not South Africa that has such immigration act. The SADC countries have their own very strict immigration act that do not allow foreign nationals to be migrant workers. If it allows them, they are strict. So my point is then, but you have people now you talk about Lesotho, because after they introduce ZEP, they introduce LEP.
What is that? What is that? A Lesotho exemption permit?
Lesotho exemption permit, yes.
Okay, yeah.
So now you have more foreign nationals coming in. And here's the problem. They go to the sectors that are mainly for unskilled labor. That is a problem. Prapet, I'm going to tell you this, and I would put a challenge. Tell me which country in the world allows unskilled laborers to come in. I'm talking about unskilled. You don't need a skill here. You just 34 sholo and you work. Now, at that extent, you have South Africans who are not skilled, who are unemployed. But you open it up. And then you have, now you talk about being a unionist and not, then you have employers who like, no, South Africans have too much rights or too many rights. And the unions are going to fight for them. So let's go to these ones we can exploit. Number one, they are not skilled. They can do anything you tell them. They are not going to be demanding anything because they are begging you. Then they go to farms. They get exploited at the farms.
So it's a labor exploitation racket.
Labor exploitation, which unions don't talk about it. Because if you bring South Africans, then the laws of South Africa kicks in to say you must give them a minimum wage. But if you take a foreign national who's begging, like, hey, I'll give you whatever, says thank you very much. So that's the problem. Now they accept anything and they now get employed. Sometimes people confuse this to say they are not taking South Africans job. They are not taking as in physically taking, but they are occupying jobs that were meant for the citizens. Now, you mentioned something about I want to go to this, the employment, the report.
Yes,
employment Equity Commission
because
report.
last year I had here as a guest the chairperson of the Employment Equity Committee or Commission. And as I read the report in preparation for that interview, I saw that this matter was flagged even in the previous one. The issue of employing of illegal foreign nationals. So as an issue in the labor market. So yeah, please go ahead. You were going to say something about that.
No, I wanted to say that 2017. I want to give you the numbers. The percentage of foreign nationals in unskilled labor was 3.6%. 2018, instead of going down, it went up 3.7. 2019, instead of going down, it went to 3.9. Now, this is a serious worrying trend that the employment of foreign nationals, instead of going down, is going up. And this is the area that is supposed to be reserved for the citizens. This is an unskilled labor. Now I have load shedding. This is an unskilled labor.
Before we move away from this, there is this work ethic argument that I want to check with you, that employers find that, which is linked to this unionizations of South Africans, that some South Africans, even ordinary people, make this argument that some South Africans are so entitled, they do not want to work. They steal from your business, from your things, but people who have no other option, who are leaving their homes in the rural areas away, they have no option but to work hard, be honest. So what is your take on that argument?
I'm going to tell you about myself as a leader of the union.
Yeah.
And I was humbled when my DVC was saying, "Hey, Mr. Simayi, I hear that you work extremely hard. You leave here late. And this is impressive from a union chairperson." Now, I didn't know that he notices. But my point is, I work like this, then I go back to members and say, you have no reason of being lazy, because I'm your chairperson. I have lots of meetings to attend to. I have cases to attend to. So I'm the busiest person. Unfortunate, I'm sorry, I said unfortunate. Fortunately, then when I go home, I don't go home and I have a family who I have children pulling my jackets. No, I go home, I have my couch, and then that's fine. So that's when I get more time.
Yeah.
But I said, but here at work, I go an extra mile. So you as a union member, you have no role model for laziness. You have no role model. So I'm talking about me now. So I'm trying to deal with that argument to say unions are encouraging that. I don't know about other branches, but me, I will sit down with a member and says, I have defended you. You almost lost your job. Don't ever do it again. I mean, go sin no more. So I apply that approach.
Let me not forget my viewers here, ZB. We're going to come back. I just want to acknowledge put Andrew Kota, put Mbulelo Bikwani. Good to see you, gentlemen. Tafatwa Mbwende, good to see you, my brother. Tamaris Kosida Tree. Hey, when you're reading the book, ZB, you must get a copy as well. You must get a copy. Utafatwa phoned me on Friday, excited when he was reading this. And then Umataps, Pet Matabin, good to see you, man. Aubrey Tswai is here. Vitos Fanti is also here. I may, excuse me, I may have missed some people, But the discussion is really getting exciting. I'm just worried about the time factor. But
Yeah.
and I think what we have done so far is to clarify the different terms. And from what you were talking about, you talked about the illegal immigration using the Zimbabwean situation as an example and what the government has done to try and regularize that. And then we're now moving to talking about the situation as things are now when it comes to employment. Because what you were saying is that then there is a competition between the local people. And talking about competition, I remember watching on TV Mweletsi Mbeki talking and saying, you know, what is happening? The politicians of South Africa have businesses in some of the SADC countries, and they engage at those high levels and open the fences such that the people at the lower end of the market fight among themselves to deal with these kinds of problems. And so now we are sitting where people who should not really be fighting are now fighting for the crumbs and so on. But let's now talk. Let me let you carry on with your discussion around this issue, because it is really a problem and it's not getting better. We're going to be talking now about the situation in Tembisa, the situation with Operation Dudula Put South Africa First. You know, we need to understand what should happen now going forward in the country when people are uprising to say this thing is not going to continue happening at this time. So carry on, ZB.
No, thanks, Prophet. And I was saying that to say, look, that competition for the locals is unfair. It's very unfair.
Yeah.
Imagine your child, you work hard and you buy food and then you dish for your child, and then all of a sudden, children of neighbors come in. And the way they eat, you look at your child like he only got one spoon. As an honest human being, you are going to feel it. You'll be like, yeah. So this is what is happening. And I wanted to quickly highlight this point, Prophet.
But ZB, let me just challenge you on that point. But if you're actually looking at this, if let's use that analogy of the plate. I mean, if you look at it, the people are having small than, if you're talking about like selling vegetables and all of that, that's just like a
yes.
You know, and the argument that is coming forward is that you are dealing with people that are not really taking out of your country anything, but you're leaving people that have been here stealing and all of that. You know, but I just wanted to challenge that point that we're talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, that's a diversion to me.
Okay.
People are diverting because I've given you the figures.
Yeah.
2019, 3.9 foreign nationals employed in the unskilled labor market.
Is that a percentage of the population, eh?
The percentage of the economically active population.
Yeah.
Meaning the people who are looking for jobs.
For work. Yeah.
That 3% could be taken by the locals. You look at is it 45 or 34% of unemployment?
That's expanded 45. It's expanded definition.
Yeah, 3.9% will do a dent on that percentage. 3.9 could be millions of citizens getting jobs. So let me forget this one of they are selling and what. I'm talking about those in the market now. It's 3.9. And the 3.9 is very important at this time. You say, for example, you have a financial crisis. So you're going to say every slice is important. Every slice you have at home is very important. So in this scenario where we have 45% unemployment and even possibly 65% youth unemployment, that 3.9% becomes a percentage that is needed by the citizens now. And this is the time, and I don't want to, I'm not going to be apologetic. This is the time where now citizens says, look, we are going to be selfish now because we are struggling.
ZB.
And I'm saying every country considers its citizens first.
Yeah.
There's no country that opens up.
Let me ask this question because I'm just asking just to hear your thinking, because these questions come up. There's the Ubuntu argument that if your neighbor is struggling, and we all know that some of the countries around here, Malawi, Zambia, Zambia is getting better now with the new president apparently, but people are struggling there, and the argument is that in Ubuntu, so let's allow people and share what we have. Now, there's a second argument, which is of a borderless Africa. Now, you were narrating some of the immigration acts of the surrounding countries. How do we link these two arguments, this argument of Ubuntu as well as these immigration policies that are strict? Yes, and the borderless argument, yeah.
Remember, Ubuntu is not a South African thing, it's an African thing.
Yeah.
So if we are going to demand Ubuntu from South Africa, how come then these other countries don't practice the same Ubuntu, but they still have their strict immigration laws? But South Africa must have Ubuntu. Yet Ubuntu is the principle of Africa. I'm just throwing that. I'm not saying anything, but I'm just throwing that to say we agree that we must share. See, there's a principle in the planes. They will tell you to say, if there's something happen, we'll drop the mask, but don't put the mask of anyone unless you start with your own. You put your mask first, then you begin to save someone else, because now you are sorted well. So that's the same principle to say we can share if I have something. But now we talk about citizens who don't have anything. What do they share?
Now there's an important question here that's coming. There's an important question here that's coming from Matabin, Pet.
Yes.
In fact, two questions. And it's the same question, but in two iterations. And I want to answer it because I think I alluded to it, but I passed quickly. It says, why is white capital not brought into the conversation in Simayi's formulation? And then the extension is that, what about whites? Wouldn't you consider them as immigrants and land robbers? If so, why are we focusing on foreign national blacks only? Yes, that's the question, ZB.
No. That is a diversion. I don't like to entertain that one. It tends to be a diversion because here we're talking about undocumented and irregular. One. Two, you hardly find whites in unskilled labor from Zimbabwe. The whites who come here are farmers, number one. So theirs falls under the Immigration Act, which is very strict, meaning they have to produce a certain amount of money to be allowed in South Africa. Now we talk about these ones who produce nothing. Let me quickly come to the Employment Equity Act, indirectly dealing with the question.
Yeah.
South Africa is a country it's a constitutional democracy, meaning the rule of law is supreme.
Yes.
Now everything is guided by the law. We can talk politics and debate, but we go back to the reference point, the law. What does the law say? The Employment Equity Act is very specific. It says, and I'm going to tell you my experience on a daily basis. It says, the Employment Equity Act, the employment is meant for beneficiaries. Then it defines beneficiaries. It says beneficiaries are black, Indians, coloreds, and white females. Those are beneficiaries of the Employment Act. So you have now the white males, they are at the bottom, they are not beneficiaries actually.
Yeah.
And then it moves on to say, and also foreign nationals, if only they retain or they obtained their citizenship on the 26th of September 1994. You know what happened with that date?
No.
That was a day before the Freedom Day.
Okay.
94.
Yes.
So
Yes.
in other
Wow.
words,
Yes.
it means during that election day, you should have been in South Africa
Yes.
a day before.
Okay.
Then you qualify that you suffered from apartheid. But you can't come after, let's say you come on the 28th of April, 1994, and then say, I'm a beneficiary. The Employment Equity Act excludes you.
Okay.
So you must have obtained your citizenship on the 26th of April, 1994. Then you qualify to be like other South Africans.
ZB, I know that you said Matabe's question is some sort of diversion. And I don't want to give you more grief on that, but I heard that now even the Chinese nationals at some point who were sort of born and grew up in South Africa are now regarded as part of the of Black people. So then the question is, how is so? How is that so? Is it because of the power of China? That's the first question. But also, in regard to the question of white capital, you had people like Rodovan Kretcher, in people from the Eastern Bloc, Romania, all the Lithuania, even Europe, Americans who are here, some of them illegally. So are you saying the what you are talking about is applicable to everyone, inclusive of those people as well?
Everyone. If you are not a Black South African,
yeah,
or a foreign national who retained his or her citizenship on the 26th of April 94, then you cannot be employed. That's how it works. Now I'm coming back to the roles of the union, and then I'm going to put it this way. I'm maybe that's why people I'm very strict when it comes to Employment Equity Act. Let me tell you what happens.
Yeah,
I will get into the interview.
Yeah.
And say, please separate CVs. You must have CVs of non-South African on one side and CVs of South African on the other side. Once we have that, if we looked on the side of the South African that there are 3 or 4 CVs, then we say, can you get rid of these ones? Why? Because we have enough South Africans. There's no need to go to this one.
So this thing is serious, eh?
Actually, that's my role as a union chairperson, to make sure that the employer sticks to the Employment Equity Act. To say, no, we understand that this person is good, but here is an issue. We have a South African who can do the job. Now, link to that, Prapet, the Employment Services Act. The Employment Services Act, I think it's section 8 is very strict to say no job should be given to a foreign national if there is a citizen who can do the same job. It's very strict. Now, what people are doing, they are actually violating the law. And I also blame unions there, because unions is their role to say, no, we are not taking this CV. We take the CV of a South African.
So are you not more legalistic and you're letting legalistic argument override the humanity or the human rights of these people who are running away from poverty and all of that?
Let me answer this one of the human rights.
Yeah.
the Immigration Act, I think Section 25 says everyone has, the Constitution also says everyone has a right, but then it says unless the rights are reserved for the citizens.
Okay.
And the Constitution has an element there where it says unless you are now discriminating in order to offset apartheid legacy. That's why then you, for example, you can be discriminated against a female.
Yeah.
That's called fair discrimination. So people should not run away from discrimination. Discrimination, there is fair discrimination, there's unfair. So this one where you discriminate to say, no, I'll make an example. As I was saying, what we do where I am, we have an employment equity officer in each and every interview.
Okay.
But this is the practice that the law requires, Prophet.
Yeah.
This is the law requires this from every company. But number one, companies don't do that. They don't stick to the law. Two, unions are sleeping in the line of duty. Because if the company does not stick to the law, then it's the role of the union to say, hang on, no, we have a law here, come back. So now in the interview, you have that employment equity officer who will give you an employment equity profile to say, in this institution, we need 10 females, African. Or they will say, for this job, we have too many males. So now we need to employ a colored male or a colored female. So in your candidates, you want those people according to the profile. And if that profile says you want a colored, you're not going to bring a foreign national because it doesn't fit the profile. You are messing up the profile. Now, the more you mess up the profile, the minister or the registrar is supposed to come to your company and fine you. They fine you. If you repeat the offense, they arrest you.
Yeah.
Because you now violating the Employment Equity Act. Because the Employment Equity Act was meant to uplift Black South Africans. Let's not be apologetic. It was meant to uplift Black South Africans. The issue now of Africa will come after we started home. Charity begins at home. You can't have children who are starving at home and then you go and preach Africanism. More like, let me make an example. I have a family and then I go to every church I preach and then my children, they go like, no, he's not kind to us. No, I must be kind at home first. Then I go around and start to donate now because I am feeding my own family. So this thing of, I'm coming to the borderless now. We are aware of our African connection. We're not running away from it. But we say Ubuntu should exist within that principle of saying charity begins at home. We have a crisis at home. So we're trying to solve the crisis at home. Now, back now to sharing now. If in that position, you can't find a South African, then you begin to open it up to the brothers now, to your African brothers. You say, no, we didn't find a South African. No, come. Yeah, come now. You get that? So now you are sharing now. But first you say, no, we want citizens first. That's where this movement. Now, let me go back to the borderless. That one is very dangerous to the security of the country. Quickly, they are black lords prepared who are waiting to enter South Africa. And the moment we have those borderless, then we must look into Mexico and say, Mexico will be better than us. Make an example. I was reading about this one. Afghanistan produces heroin.
Yeah.
But they can't sell it to Europe because Europe bans Afghanistan. So the best thing, they will send it to Nigeria, they will send it to Tanzania. Then from Tanzania, it moved to Tanzania, it comes to Mozambique. Then from Mozambique, it enters South Africa. Then from South Africa, it can go out. Now, imagine if you are not going to have borders when you have drug lords waiting. You have drug lords like, for example, Kreche, that guy Kreche. They are waiting for the rules to be loosened out, and then we are going to be another Mexico. So some of those slogans or sloganeering, they are empty slogans that do not assist to take the country anywhere. What South Africa needs now, it needs a very good border management. Here's a laughable thing.
Yeah.
There's this one now. Someone from Zimbabwe, who's my friend, told me, but we're laughing about it. It was fun.
Yeah.
He says, no, I was asking a colleague, no, that one has a very scarce skill. That skill he has does not exist in South Africa. Now we have to take him. You get that? To take him and say to him, and I think I almost missed this part, and say to him, we can't employ you permanently. That's a law. But we are going to give you 5-year contract. And in that 5-year contract, we want you to empower South Africans. If you don't, we don't renew your contract. But companies are lazy to do that, because when you employ a foreign national, you should give them a training plan to say, this is what we want you to do. Train 20 South Africans with the same skill you have. Transfer the skill.
ZB.
But what is happening now?
ZB.
There's no transfer of skill.
ZB, what you are talking about has never happened when during the transition, when for example you had a white manager, and then the idea was that they would train people under them. Why is it that now it must be applicable when we're talking about foreign nationals? From
this is a law, but hence I said we operate by the workplace law.
Okay,
this is a law in the workplace, which is called Employment Equity Act.
Yeah.
Which requires that you first employ citizens. If you can't find citizens, then you take a foreign national to transfer the skills. And you give them the skills transfer plan.
Yeah.
And you monitor the skills transfer plan. Now, in this report I was telling you about, they are raising a concern to say the 3.9, or because they talk about senior management of foreigners, they are saying these people are not transferring the skills, which is what they were employed for. They are not transferring the skills, meaning there are no South Africans who can take over after them. And this is me now as a union. My role is to say, we've had this manager who's Nigerian or South African. What did you do in the 5 years we gave you contract? And if you say, I did nothing, we said, bye-bye. I'm very strict on that one. I don't play. And I say, this is the role of the unions.
They must play that role effectively.
They must be very strict on that one.
I do want to make sure that our viewers' views come online, because I want to read them out, ZB, because I don't want us to end without having heard what they say. Mataps comes back. Please take a note. He says, it's very interesting that white foreign nationals are in abundance in this country. They own land, they own businesses, etc., but are never harassed. But black foreign nationals are harassed all the time. Now in Cape Town, we're dealing with colors who are saying people from Eastern Cape must stay there, meaning in the Eastern Cape. This backward dualism is problematic at many levels. We need better ways to solve these problems. But in our solution, let's dare not forget that white capital put us here. They walk freely, but are land thieves who came here undocumented and took the land. That's the first argument by Matabane.
Can I assist him, Prophet, before you move on?
Yeah, and then before you do that, I just want to also just check this thing. Kenneth, I have noticed that in our workplaces, most stewards shop stewards are clueless. And then video is saying, video fund, it does Zolani, that ZS acknowledge that the normal shop steward does not read or less educated to argue the same in respective committees. So if you can just respond to all those issues.
Let me assist Matabs. You see, I'm this one person who, if you want politics, I will go to politics. But most of the times I will deal with law. So here we are dealing with the technicality of the law, which is what led to the citizens to cry, because government, one, is not following it up with the implementation of the law. And you find in companies, especially, and I'm going to say it again, there is no reason why a restaurant could employ a waiter who is a foreign national when that position does not need any specialized skill. You don't need to be skillful in order to be a waiter. All you do, you take a matriculant who is a South African and employ that matriculant as a waiter. And this is where the problem is. And as long as we ignore that, it will now create this movement like Dudula, because they will go to KFC and says, what are the waiters, the tellers at KFC doing special that we can't do? And they are right. They are justified. So the point that Matabs is raising, he's a bit ignorant, sort of. Sorry to say that. those people he talks about, he doesn't know the conditions of their permits. He must be honest. Because the same Immigration Act does not prohibit foreigners to come in, but it has strict or stringent rules to say you must have 5 million in your bank account. If a Chinese has 10 million and say, I want to open businesses, that Chinese will qualify for a permit. But you can't, if a Zimbabwean comes and say, I have 10 million, that Zimbabwean will get a special business permit because that contributes now to the growth of the economy and that contributes to employment. Now, so those people that Pat is talking about, those are business people with money. They produce money and then they apply, they use the Immigration Act. Now, these ones who are under unskilled labor or semi-skilled labor do not qualify under the Immigration Act, and therefore they do not deserve to be working in South Africa, because those are jobs that should be reserved for citizens. And that we need to be clear. And the other problem we have, and I'm not, if I'm xenophobic, sorry, but this is the law, and this is my work, which I was mandated as a union chairperson to say, push where you are. Don't care about the country, but where you are, do this. Now, the problem is you employ a manager who's from Lesotho. What they are going to do, they are going to bring another Lesotho national and employ them here. Then that restaurant becomes a restaurant filled with Lesotho nationals. And that is a problem. And then you have an academic at Wits who's a professor. And he applies from NRF, he gets money which you pay tax for. Remember, the NRF money is your tax.
Yeah, the National Research Foundation.
Yes, he applies for research funds, he is given, because in that application, he says, I'm going to empower 20 students.
Yeah.
Okay, he gets that. Now, he does that, he gets 20 students. But those students are from Nigeria. I don't know if you get me.
Yeah, I'm listening to you. So is there no regulation that tells that person what student they must bring?
No, that money is the money, taxpayers' money from South Africa. It must empower South Africans. That's why he got the funding. Because he promised that I'm going to employ more South Africans. And that is the reason why he was also employed. He was employed to empower South Africans. But then you find in a lab owned by a Nigerian professor, filled with Nigerians, no South African. And there, unions are sleeping. where they are supposed to be radical and says, this is not happening.
Mm.
This must stop from now on. And then next 5 years, we're not going to cry about the high unemployment. It will be reduced. That's how we as individuals on the floor, we can work to cut down the unemployment and now go back to the businesses. It is not fair, Rapet. You have Somalis who are 100.
Yeah.
They each contribute 10,000. Then they give that 100,000 to one Somali and say, start a business. Already they have a capital. Obviously, that Somali cannot compete with the locals because the locals don't have the 100,000. So now the grounds are not equal. You say, citizens, no, you must start your own spaza shop. But where do I get the 100,000 which the Somali has?
ZB, just on that issue, you know, where I used to work, we interviewed a lady. I just want to use the example that we're talking about here. We interviewed a lady. She was originally from Congo, and then she was telling the story that her family was all killed and so on. But then they moved towards a refugee camp in Ghana, and then they moved up until they got to South Africa and all of that. Okay. And then together, she met along with a guy. They got together. They are a family. They got married and all of that. So when they got to South Africa, they had nothing. But when we interviewed her, she had she was pursuing her MBA and so on. So when you're now, what I'm trying to say is that when you're now talking about a group of Somalians who come to South Africa with nothing, and then when they are here, they work together and put some money together, and there's a South African who was born here, is there no advantage to the fact that you have been here so you could have much more resources and work together with others? So is there no problem within our society rather than the problem with the people that are coming here with nothing?
I'm going to go back to in everything we talk about, we must consider that South Africans, this is their home. Even if they decide to be lazy, they are lazy in their home country.
And then?
No, they should not be chased away because they are lazy in their own country. It's their own country, number one. So that fact, we should not run away from it. Number two.
So are you saying they must be employed even if they are lazy? They must
no,
be
no,
provided
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying the law protects them to be preferred.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Then if they are lazy, there are ways to deal with laziness at the workplace.
Okay.
You deal with that. And then this one, there are outliers, Prapet. The case you're talking about, that's an outlier. I mean, that's where your humanity and Ubuntu kicks in.
Yeah.
That's an outlier.
Yeah.
But here's a danger, which I'm glad you raised this one. Otherwise, we could have forgotten. You know that South Africa is about to be listed under grey or grey listed.
What does that mean?
It means you are close to being a country that funds terrorism.
Yo. No,
it happened. I was reading this. There was a thick. I'm still reading that report, which the international community says do A, B, C, or else, and immediately the president kicked in the Minister of Finance, says come up with these laws. So what happens is, remember, there are people who are monitoring terrorism.
Yeah.
They will say, no. The money that goes to Al-Qaeda comes from South Africa. Those spaza shop in South Africa are funding these terrorist organizations. Now, South Africa must come up with a law that says, one, you are a politician. If you are funded from overseas, you must declare.
Yeah.
If you are sending money home, you must tell us where this money comes from. So it's going to be very detailed and particular, those laws that are coming, because they have picked it up to say South Africa does not have terrorists, but it funds terrorists.
Okay.
Because there are too many spaza shops. You see those spaza shops you take for granted. Some of them, the money you think it goes to feed families. No, it goes to pay the war. And like I almost said about something else. The ones of Nigerians, it's another issue. You find someone who's pretending to be selling, to have a spaza shop, but behind the spaza shop, there are drugs. And you find this person is having a spaza shop, but the lifestyle they are living, I mean, you know them in Cape Town, they will be living in Parklands. But you say no.
But South Africans can also do that. Is it not the case?
No. We're not denying. We're not denying that one. We're not denying that one. It's very true. But this one is also true, that South Africa is becoming one of the countries that feed drugs. Drug lords. It feeds terrorists. And the government now, and I'm glad the ANC is waking up to that, to say what do you say? There was a white paper on migration. Now they are going straight. I think in December, you are going to see more policies come out of the ANC, because they have seen all these things I'm talking about. They have seen them. And because initially they will be ignorant. Look, you can promote this thing of white monopoly capital and what, but you are not going to resonate with the citizens, I promise you.
While you're saying that, let me just read some of the comments that are coming here. I see that Jesuit takeover of USA September. Uti should church accept tithe and offering from illegal immigrant who received income from being employed here illegally in South Africa in violation of the illegal immigration? Okay, and then there's another one where he was talking about what Elder Thulankosi said, that what about the argument raised by Thulankosi that churches are harboring and electing illegal immigrants should account? And you haven't answered Video's question that he had asked before.
Oh, I missed that one.
About the stewardship, and I think not the stewardship, but the shop steward.
Shop steward.
Yeah. So before you get there, I see that we've gotten a number of comments here. I see Tafatwa is saying, how many Nigerians are employed formally in South Africa? Where are they getting their source of income? And then Apindabuye Ati, Zolani is far from reality. And then he says again, concerning Thulankosi's argument, they should not accept tithe and offering from illegal immigrants as well. And he talks about Muslims and Chinese as people that are owning some of the businesses in the country. You can see, ZB, that this discussion is really creating passion because people are interested in it. So can you just touch base on some of these issues that are coming forward?
No, the first one, which I love, I'm glad to be far from reality. As long as I stick to the law. Number one, as long as I prioritize citizens. If prioritizing citizens mean that I'm off reality, I'm happy to accept that. Number two, I deal with these things on a daily basis, and as I said before, you have graduates coming out of the university. So if that's not reality, then I don't know. And who are looking for jobs. Now, if they can't find jobs in their own country, where must they find the jobs? They can't go to Zimbabwe because Zimbabwe won't allow them. They can't go to Namibia because Namibia won't allow them. And Namibia, just to throw a jab on Pat, Namibia is not going to say, no, we have white monopoly capital. Namibia will say we have a law that says only Namibians, and that's period. Now we need politicians and ministers who are going to say, we are sticking to the law. Come labels, we are fine with the labels, but Now, because the thing is this, the truth, here's the truth of the matter.
Mm.
People are voted by South Africans.
Mm.
And they are voted by South Africans to take care of South Africans.
Mm.
So you can't come and talk about other people who are not going to vote for you. That you must consider that, because when you go to people and say, vote for me, you said, I'm going to take care of you, vote for me. Then they vote for you on that basis. Now you come back after voting for you. You said, no, you are talking whatever. We are going to take care of the entire Africa.
Yeah.
It's good and fine to accept Africa, but charity begins at home. Now back to the shop stewards. I agree with Bravido. I agree. I fully agree. And maybe it is also, but the problem is that, and he knows, and I always like to say this, I'm an ant. There are elite union leaders, powerful leaders, who should have thought about these things. Now I'm making a difference in my small branch, and I make sure that I am very effective in my branch. That's why the members of the branch said, we want you for another 4 years. So I think
ZB,
yeah.
when you're using the term elite, you reminded me about what Mike Siluma is I think is the deputy editor of Sunday Times. He was speaking on News Africa recently, where he says that on this issue of illegal immigration and unemployment, including the issues of Zamazama, borderlessness, and all of that, he was saying that South Africa is divided between the elite and the middle class on the issue and the rest of society. And he says that people in the middle class look down upon people who are raising these issues. He almost says that we demonize and we denigrate them because we have no idea what it means to struggle in this way. What's your take on that?
I agree. Because as you are talking now, I'm thinking, sorry, forgive me for that. You will hear Ivan Jim. He earns a high salary. He has bodyguards. So he does not feel what people are feeling on the ground. Number two, he does not know what shop stewards are feeling on the ground. He just talks because he talks for the television. And that's what elitism makes you to be. It makes you to talk.
I hope your statement is not a competition between you as a Nehau Union and him. It's just
no. I'm making an example with him. The same thing applies to my leaders.
Oh, okay.
I'm one person who tell my leaders straight on the face to say no. So all of them, when I'm referring to him, I'm referring to elite. He represents the elite group.
Okay.
Who drive these expensive German machines?
Vehicles.
Who don't know what I experience at the branch level. They don't know what I experience at the branch level. All they simply get, Prapet, is they get reports from me.
About
then
the
reports
situation.
make them shine because I'm the one who fought on the ground. So that statement, I agree. They are clueless. Now I was accused of being out of reality. The people who are out of reality, out of touch, are the elite. Let's go to the incident of Poppy. Though I don't agree, but that's a different story.
But the doctor in Limpopo.
I'm here. There are reasons why I don't agree with her.
Yeah.
But here's the truth of the matter is, whatever she said, if it was said by someone else, it would have made perfect sense. But it's her. Yeah. I mean, I have my issues with her incompetence. You get that? That's why I have a problem with her incompetence, but not the content
of what she said.
Yes. The people on the ground who attend public hospitals, they feel the pain. But me, who has a medical aid, I can go to a private doctor where there's no queue. I can easily label people to say they are xenophobic. They are not. They are expressing their frustration to say, help us. And I'm going to say it again, and I'm sure there are ANC members here. I'm glad they are beginning to wake up to the voice of the people, not to their own ideologies, but to the voice of the people, to say, people on the ground are crying. We must change our immigration laws. We must manage the borders. Now, on the management of the borders, I forgot to tell you that story. Corruption is still there, Prapet.
Yeah. Even with this new leadership that
no, the new vans are used as transport.
Oh, country with the corruption.
They are used as transport to transport people. And
the new lot that has just come in. How do you know that? How do you know that?
I got from the Zimbabwean. This I got from a Zimbabwean.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess there was excitement on TV to say this one said, no, those are our transport.
Hey, this country corruption. Oh, that. Hey.
So the rot is really seriously at the core. Hence, I was saying to you, this issue of immigration won't end.
ZB, I think I just want to come back to the comments here because I'm looking at the time. And it's really running so fast and there's so much commentary coming in. I agree even with Zolani Simayi. Take, for example, the trading system of foreigners versus South Africans. Most black township shops that used to be run by South Africans have been shifted to foreigners because they don't pay 15% tax. Is that accurate? That should, I mean, whoever is buying food must be paying VAT. Spali, can you just clarify that? South African cannot compete with foreigners in terms of township economy. And then it comes back, Utismai, this is not a legal issue, but an economic one. And the economic reality is that white capital creates unemployment and is the main culprit, which is not being assessed here. Dualism is just a reflection of black on black contradictions. There is waterfront, there's no dualism of foreign nationals. Okay, you've got those two comments there. Very strong, indeed.
I answered that one to say, Pat, understand, Pat is my friend. He's a theorist.
Yes, yeah.
He's a theorist. I'm a pragmatist. I deal with practical issues. Yeah. And I'm telling you to say, at my workplace, this is what is happening. So, and I said before, Pat does not know those people at waterfront. How are their permits? Because you can't have a business if you are a foreigner, if you haven't proven that you have a 5 million in your bank account. Yeah. You can't. You must prove that you have a bank account. Of course, there will be corruption like the Guptas where they get citizenship. Those happen. Yeah. But what he's talking about people who are moneyed. And I'm glad he says white monopoly capital. They have money. They have money to say, we want to open mass mart here. Why should the government stop them? Because the very same mass mart is going to employ South Africans. So the visa or the employment or the Immigration Act allows people who are moneyed to have permits to conduct businesses. And I agree with him to say white monopoly capital is responsible. I agree. I'm not denying that. But for now, we're talking about irregular immigration, which is partly created by those special dispensations.
Okay. Now, hey, ZB, this is very, very interesting. This is very interesting. You didn't share your views on what Jesuit Takeover was saying here about what Elder Nkosi is saying, that churches are harboring and electing illegal immigrants. and
No,
so on.
that's a
And
church. That's a church issue.
yeah, we've got people like
I like
Noposo.
to limit myself. I like to limit myself to legal.
Okay. I can see that, Theophilus Poppy is here. Oh, later, Fogamgongo, can see you. Mtutu Mini is here. Mike Mtuduzi Dube. Oh, good to see you, man. It's been a long time. Zintle is watching. Maki Khasmeni is here. Babalo Stemela is here. Gilbert Matiti. Hey, we've got everybody here today. And by the way,
Prophet,
those
can
people
I tell
who
you?
are,
Can I
yeah,
tell you about my experience in South Korea?
South
Just to
Korea, please
drive
tell
my,
us.
just to
Yeah.
drive my point.
Mm.
When I got to South Korea at the airport, I spent an hour sitting at the airport. They were looking at my permit, trying to check whether it's fake or not. Of course, I was a bit irritated to say, I see people coming out, but I'm the only one who stays. But later on, I realized that no, those were people who were going to stay for 7 days. But mine said it's a year, and it said I'm here to work. So they had to be extremely strict, because in South Korea, they only allow foreigners to teach English.
Okay.
So they were checking that to say, why are you here? And another issue is they only allow South Africans to do that.
Not any other nationalities.
No, it's South Africa, Australia, England, America, and Canada. Now you have lots of Nigerians, especially there's a town called Itaewon, which sells computers. They are plenty of them there. You know how they got there? They got there by opening churches.
Okay.
That's the only way they can get access to South Korea.
By opening churches.
So they get a permit it's a church permit. They can't work. So I'm trying to show that we are not unique. And actually we are very lenient as a country. Because if a country cannot control its immigration, that immigration problem creates a risk to the sovereignty of a country. That country can be taken over by drug lords any day.
Yeah, ZB, man, I don't know. This is very, very interesting, and it keeps taking shapes and forms, and we are at the core of this issue, and I think I need us to talk about it because it's topical. Now, we have the movements and political parties which have entered the fray. Some of the movements are Dudula movement, South African Soweto Parliament with Nhlantla. You've got, Put South Africa First. You've got other political parties like Gayton Mackenzie and all of those people. So, do you sense any harm that is going to come if those kinds of movement are just let without any control of that narrative? Is there no danger? I'm just asking, is there no danger of that whole thing taking a bad turn and even violent turn when you suddenly have so many people raising the same issue with the perception that the government is tone deaf to their ears, and then people are saying we're going to take law into our own hands? What is your thoughts on that? What is your thought on that?
Though you say it's a question, but I agree. I call it these the two extremes of a pendulum. You know, a pendulum goes. There are two extremes. The other extreme is this one that labels poor people as xenophobic or Afrophobic. That's another extreme because they are tone deaf to the people. Then there's another extreme that says we're going to take the law into our own hands. And these two are created by a government that is failing to govern. If the governing party can start and say we're going to govern, these two won't come up. If the borders were managed properly, you wouldn't have Gaten McKenzie, you wouldn't have Action SA, you wouldn't have Operation Tutula. Maybe Action SA will be there, or maybe McKenzie will be there, but these extremes would not be there. And also their agenda maybe would be different now. The reason now they are popular is because they are dealing with a topical issue. They are talking to what people are concerned about. And if I may be given an opportunity to advise, I'd like, EFF, you can't be tone deaf to the very candidates you want votes from. You can't be, this is politics, you can't be tone deaf. Listen to people. Though you are not going to be a populist, but you listen to people's concern and deal with them. You see, this is my prediction. ANC would come back and get 50%.
Okay.
Especially after December. You know why? Because they are going to correct themselves on the immigration issue. They are going to deal with immigration, and some citizens might forgive them for that.
Yeah.
You look at how they reacted or responded to Poppy. In every bad thing that Poppy has done, but she became a what? A favorite.
A heroine.
Because she's talking to the concerns of the people, and people are willing to forgive. So this is what the ANC, I'm thinking, this is likely the ANC would do in December, will say, we are going to really work on immigration. And then we go back to the people and say, we have fixed the problem. Once they close this, once they close the ZEP,
yeah,
believe you me, a huge chunk of the voters are going to come back.
Okay, man. You know, I see Aubritswai is saying I'm really having mixed feelings on this issue. Having worked at Home Affairs for some time, I've seen that there is lack of patriotism. We are being dealt with a blow by those officials there. I think he's talking about the corruption. Then he says, but then you meet people who are really affected by the situation in their countries, and they need relief and refuge in the country. We need to be led carefully around this issue. I think he is highlighting the issue of leadership. He's highlighting the issue of leadership right here. And I just want to make sure that I leave no one outside on this issue. ZB, the ZEP, the Zimbabwe exemption permit, has now been extended by another 6 months, or another 6 months, up until June next year. And if I heard the Minister of Home Affairs correctly, he was talking about the fact that the Lesotho exemption permit is going to be discontinued as well. And I don't know what's happening with the Angolan exemption permit as well. So it seems like there is this policy of eliminating that. Now, I haven't been able to read and see how the new international migration and labor policy that has been in front of Parliament recently. What game changing is going to happen to that? What is it that's it's going to bring into the country to address this issue of unemployment and illegal immigration together? Have you had a chance to glean through it, or just understand maybe from discussions about that?
I think that
I just want to also say that those people who are making their comments on Facebook, the reason why you cannot see them on screen here is because StreamYard is directly beaming to the YouTube channel first, and then to you. So you may not see your comments, but if you go to the YouTube channel, then you can type there, and then your comments are gonna come up. So don't think I'm ignoring them. I'm not showing them. It's just that I don't see them until I go to Facebook. Go ahead, ZB.
No, I think that one is going to mainly touch on the things that they got from the ground. Number one. And number two, it's going to talk about issues of statelessness, because there are too many loopholes that they picked up from our own migration system. And some of them are too lax. Like they are not in line with other countries. So they, like, for example, the issue of refugees, it should be in line with the international law. But the South African one has an element of Ubuntu in it, where we say we are not going to put you in a camp. We are going to integrate you in the society. You become part of us. So that will be retained. But also there will be, now they are going to put more bots now. They are going to lock the system to say it's not going to be easy to manipulate the system. It's going to be very strict now. And I'm glad, I'm happy with that. Because and I must say this, a majority of Zimbabweans are economic migrants. They must not abuse the asylum system.
But there's war in their. They are being beaten
Which
and
war?
abused by the government. No, sorry, there's no war per se.
No,
there's no war, but they are beaten.
I live in Limpopo.
Yeah.
Every day there's a bus that goes to Zimbabwe. Every single day they are going home. You can't be going home like that when there's war. We must face it to say, no, there is political crisis.
Yeah.
There is economic crisis.
But what I'm saying,
what
I'm raising, ZB, is that when people try to protest and to state their views, they are.
What happened now? Yeah, Prapet has cut now. Oh, maybe load shedding.
Sorry, we had load shedding. Sorry,
I thought
we
as
had
much.
we had load shedding. So what I'm saying is that there's a violent beating up of people. I mean, we've seen it on TV where people are beaten up in places like Swaziland and so on. So is that not part of the of what you would call a reasonable grounds for economic migration?
No, hence, you see, I'm glad you asked the questions at the beginning, where we deal with terms now to say, what's an asylum seeker? What's a refugee? What's an economic migrant? There are rules that define each of these.
Yes.
It can be every crisis of election, it leads to asylum seeking. It can be. South Africa has its own political problems. But we can't go to America and say, hey, no, there's war in South Africa, there's beating. And I need to say this. I've visited Zimbabwe, right? And I'll be there for a weekend. I'll be like, no, this is a normal country. I'm saying normal in a sense that there's no violence. Yes, there will be
Yeah.
pockets of eating there and there, but Zimbabwe has financial problems. You can see it. Even when you go to town, you will see it. But there are no police who just chase everyone everywhere. So those pockets of
Okay.
violence then do not amount to a political crisis, which will lead to asylum seeking. It is a political crisis,
Yeah.
or socio-economic political crisis, which produces now economic migrants, not asylum seekers
Yes.
or not refugees. This is when now South Africa comes in to say, you have
So your argument is that
Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I think the argument you are making is that there have been people who have abused the asylum seeking uh, uh, provisions to, in actual fact, to hide the fact that they're actually economic migrants. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because the rules are not the same. With economic migrant, then they will apply the Immigration Act. And they will apply now to say, okay, what skill do you have?
Yes.
Say, no, I have this skill.
All right.
So I wanted to finish that one to say a majority.
Go ahead.
I don't want to say all of them. A majority of Zimbabweans are economic migrants because they work and work and work. Come Easters, they go home. That's being economic migrant. What you are doing, there's a name which they call it remittance. You are remitting to your country. You work here, and then you remit to your country. And South Africa understands that. And Zimbabwe understands. That's why you don't hear Zimbabwe cry, the government cries. They know that because you work, come and bring money. That's fine. But as long as you are in line with the laws of the receiving country, the sending country becomes the one that benefits from the remittance. That's economic. Somali, yes, those are refugees.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, sorry, I wanted to say, then the South African government must intervene politically.
Okay, ZB, I think we're breaking. I think it might be on my side.
Okay.
Yeah, it might be on my side. There's a bit of a break, but let's now conclude. Tafatswa is saying Vusi Tembekwayo should be invited on this platform. Thank you. I will try my level best. I've heard him speak on the issue of black on black violence, and then you come back and say Busasa, Eskom, Transnet, Eskom, SAA, COVID funds, Gandla Gupta, and so on, drug, gangster violence. Drugs are coming in already. The main problem is not ZEP, it's corruption and economic issues. All right, that's what Tafatswa is saying here. So we are now coming towards the end of the conversation. And I want us to conclude with certain points here. So would you say, ZB, that the economic migration of people from other parts of the world coming into the country, especially the illegal one, constitute a significant portion to South African unemployment? Or is it something that as a country we can simply absorb and move forward whilst we're looking to address it for the proper population?
No, my argument there would be, this is a multifactorial issue, right? Which includes illegal immigration. So illegal immigration is one of them. And Pat mentioned one of them, the what do you call, the accumulation by few individuals. That's one of them. But now we don't know the extent each one contributes. But they, like, for example, if you go overseas, like now I have a colleague whom I had approved that they must go overseas. Now they want a medical insurance. Without that medical insurance, they are not going anywhere. So the medical insurance is saying, you come and use our facilities in the country, you pay for them. So now you have undocumented or irregular immigrants who come and use the system, but yet there's nothing that is coming in the system to accommodate all of them. Remember, when the budget is there by Kotongwan, he considers the population there and he funds. But he doesn't know there are undocumented or irregular people who come in, and some of them are transport. Because remember, they keep coming. They haven't stopped because of ZEP. They keep coming. And another thing I forget. Do you know the deportation is extremely expensive? That's another problem that people don't consider. Extremely expensive. One, you must make sure that you treat a person as a human being. So it's arrest and detention. When you detain them, they're not in prison. You must take care of them properly. That's money. And when you send them, it's not like you are sending cows, you are sending human beings. So you must be a human to them. On the way, if you are taking them to Zimbabwe, on the way, you feed them. And the transport comes from you, not from them. So it's a whole lot of costs. That's why this whole documentation started, because they were now complaining about the cost of deportation. This is funny, though it's not funny. They will take a Zimbabwean and deport. 2 days, that Zimbabwean is back in South Africa. Then they were like, no. We are playing a game here. We deport, let's say 6,000 per person. The person is back in 2 days here. What are we doing? So you can see the loopholes are in the management.
Yeah. ZB, can you just tell me something? Because in our chat, the word Zimbabwean comes up, but I realize that whenever South Africans, especially who are against this, the illegal immigrants speaking, they seem to think about Zimbabweans, and yet there are so many other people. Why is that?
No, a majority. I think they are looking at the majority.
Yeah.
I think it's the majority.
Okay.
Remember, in Cape Town, the people in Cape Town will have a problem with Nigerians.
Well, there's a lot of them.
Yes. But in Northwest, fortunately, Botswana is very stable. So if it was not stable, they will have a problem with Botswana. And then in Free State, they have a problem with Lesotho. But then you
proximity.
It's a proximity. But also now you have a particular group that is spread across. And those are Zimbabweans, unfortunately.
Okay. All right, man. This time has really ran away. It's an important discussion, and I did want us to be to talk about it without the emotions and everything like that, and so that we can maintain a respectful decorum about a very sensitive. I rarely venture into these kinds of discussions, but I've had people contacting me especially from Zimbabwe and Lesotho, saying, "Hey, you've never discussed this matter. What's?" And I said, "Okay, I will look into it." And then I had read some of the comments that we had made, and I thought maybe Zolani could be a good person. In any case, I've always wanted to talk to you about your other work, your research work, pathology, and all of that kind of stuff. But I think we're going to do another show for that one. And now we are here talking about this. So, how do you think the country should deal with this matter now forward? Before it creates a further, in this book, I write about my growth. During those time when we grew up, there was a lot of violence that was meted against people by the police, and people tended to use violence to retaliate. And violence has remained with our engagement in South Africa since apartheid time, and it has not left. And sometimes I get worried that something can just erupt like it did in July on this issue of illegal immigration, such that the government may not be able to control it. And so I'm saying this question to say, what can be done? And not from a political point scoring point of view, but what can be done systematically and in the long run to address this issue of illegal migration and everything that comes with it? Because what I'm finding also is that it has now spilled over to affect even those people that are here legally. And so to deal with that, what must be done to address the issue in a sustainable, long-term way that would make us reintegrate properly with the African continent?
I wanted to catch it on the last part. It's very important to highlight the fact that those who have applied through the Immigration Act will not be touched, because they are here, they are providing a skill that we don't have. They are here to contribute economically. So it's not generally Zimbabweans or Lesotho, no. It's those at the lower end, the semi-skilled and unskilled, which it makes no sense to allow them to come in while you know that you have your own people who are struggling. So I wanted that part, because, for example, and I'm glad, you see, I talk about my daily experience. You know the way I fight for Zimbabweans and Nigerians? As a union person.
How?
And this is exactly what strikes people, to say I'm able to strike the balance.
Yeah.
If you have a skill that we need, I am going to fight for you.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
No matter where you're coming from.
There's no one who's going to abuse you in my presence. Because now, when it comes to rights, I don't look at the nationality. For example, I had someone who was confronting at some point to say, no, you should let this one go because he's Nigerian and what. I said, that's not how I work. This person came here legally. So they have all their rights, they need to be protected. And secondly, they are paying subscription. So they deserve a service. I can't work as if, because that will be stealing their money now if I'm going to discriminate them based on the. So that's the balance. But I also fight against the violation of the Employment Equity Act to say you can't have a secretary who's not South African. You can't have a receptionist who's not South African. Because that's not a scarce skill. There are too many colleges that offer secretariat training. So allow those ones to be open for citizens. Then you have now those skills that you can now bring. That's how I think you can solve the problem, when you are able to strike the balance to say, we are going to be strict on one end, we're also going to be open on the other end.
The other hand.
I can't tell you this experience, but it was a terrible, terrible experience that made me to be like, you know what? This is the reality that we're talking about. Forget television. This is reality.
This is what?
Reality.
Okay.
When you experience corruption,
yeah,
I regard that as corruption when you are brought in and then you bring your brothers in. That for me, I don't buy into that. It's like I come here, I come here, I get an office, and then the next thing will be my department will be filled with amatros. I don't know if you get me.
I said from Queenstown.
Yes, exactly, specifically from Queenstown.
Cape Town or Queenstown.
And that is corruption. And then that we can't run away from. Some of our African brothers and sisters, they do that. They get an opportunity, and it's a pity I can't talk about the experiences I know, because some of these are shared confidentially. But these are things that happen. Where someone will be the manager, and then they will write a fake letter for their fellow countrymen and say, no, we confirm that this one is employed by this company. Then when Home Affairs calls, they call them. We're looking for Pet Kulati. He says, yeah, it's Pet Kulati. Do you know Matabs? Yes, I know Matabs. Then Home Affairs approves. Then instead of coming and working where you are, then they go to Cape Town and then they start to sell drugs because they have the permit now. That's reality.
Man, sure. I think we will have to discuss this matter again from other aspects. But I did notice that we had another comment from Mike Mduduzi Dube, where he says, I think Zolani did a good research. His submission is mostly factual and correct, and South Africans are right that non-skilled labor should not be taken by non-South Africans. I sympathize with South Africans, but it's hard to stop a hungry man. Now, as we conclude this matter, I'm sure you do follow international politics, ZB, that people like Trump, people, the whole issue of the Europe, Britain, which was called Brexit, was carried on the shoulders of what commentators would call nationalism. How do you differentiate between, as we conclude, patriotism, nationalism, and xenophobia? Can a person be a patriot without being nationalistic or xenophobic? How do you strike a balance between these things in such a way that because Brexit came about because people were saying Britain first. We want Britain jobs for British people. In America, Trump said he was going to build a wall. So others called that extreme nationalism. Others called it patriotism. So in your take, what is your take on this thing? On these
exactly.
issues?
I like the
what I'm trying to get to is what we're seeing in South Africa. Yes. What are we seeing in South Africa today? Go ahead, ZB.
It's I would say it's all
you
of
like
them.
The fact that I was saying what?
No, the fact that you were bringing to say others call it nationalism, others call it xenophobia, what. But my view is that all of them, they exist. But as long as one sticks to the law, then you are not at risk of falling to either. Like if you say, stick to the Immigration Act, then you'll have to label the Immigration Act as nationalistic.
Okay.
But now, once you get out of the law, then you are now moving to, what do they call it? It's chanted area now.
Yeah,
Where it
speculation.
can fall to any side now. Like, for example, I'll make an example with myself. If I'm sitting in an interview, I'll be like, no, are you a South African? No. What's your ID number? No, I don't have an ID. And also, okay, but do we have South Africans? No, we don't have. Oh, no, it's fine. Come in. You don't have a South African, come in. Because there's nothing that prevents you now from being in. Because initially you were disqualified by the law, but now there's no South African. Okay, come in. So
what do you do? What do you do with an already existing situation where a receptionist is a foreign national already? They are working there. Do you take them out of the job and replace them with South Africans, or what do you do?
No. I don't think the law
Okay.
would allow that. No.
Oh. Okay.
I don't think the law
All
would
right.
allow that.
All right.
But
All
you
right.
can come in if the contract is about to expire and say, don't renew.
The contract.
But if it's a permanent, you'll be like, okay. Like, for example, I'll be like, I came in 2018. From 2018 up to 2022, these things are not going to happen under my leadership. That's the best I can do. Okay. And then from now, 2022 to 2016, these things are not going to happen under my leadership. Because those who are in HR will know I like to read when I'm prepared. I would go to an extent of saying, even if this person has a permanent residence, they have a South African ID, I'll be like, let's go deep to the ID number. The last 3 digits will tell. So I would look at those 3 digits, says, no, the last 3 digits, they are not South African. So what I'm trying to say is, top stewards must become now to be very vigilant. If they are going to claim and say they are leading people, they must be vigilant and say, this is what I was told. You see, when people vote for you, they are not saying it in too many ways. But that vote carries too many things. So that's how I take it, to say, yeah, no. This is a heavy responsibility. This vote carries a lot. So there's no relaxation and there's no feeling of being powerful because you're like, there's too much here. I must do. So those things are things that shop stewards need to do, and they must stop focusing on power. They must focus on service. Because that's what you have voted for.
Yeah. All right.
Just to close, Prophet, you see, just to close on that note, to say,
yes.
I wanted to tie in my religion to that. There's a book. I was still with you by then. You attend these evangelistic workshops.
Yeah.
Now I'm talking to Adventists now.
Yeah.
You see, my Adventism comes out now. I can't get rid of it. Because I think it's you who once said that in a presentation, to say it's a worldview. It's not a belief system. It's a worldview. You take a shower, it's there. You go to work, it's there.
Yeah.
Exactly. So with me, it always comes out, this Adventism.
Yeah.
To a point that you can't come. Yeah, you can't come to me and say, here's a brown envelope. Allow us to dismiss that employee. I'm gonna be like, I have a conscience. And my conscience is run by the Holy Spirit. And now when I go to sleep with this brown envelope, I will never sleep. And secondly, that's not what I read from Ellen White. I didn't read that. And I mean, I would listen to Pastor Papu preaching about Joseph. Leave your jacket.
Yeah.
So those principles come
I've got
in.
his book.
So I will. Then I come to now this. There was this guy from America who came, and it was Riverside. We're in Riverside. He was talking about his book. I will tell you his name. He wrote a book, and he quoted from Ellen White, where Ellen White says, Christ used to minister to people first.
Yeah.
Then after ministering, he says, follow me. And that's a principle I apply. I will come to you as an employee and say, how can I assist you? Then you say, hey, I have this problem and what. And I'm not going to ask you, are you a member?
I
will assist. Give my best to the best of my ability to save you.
Are you going to ask them, are you South African?
No. I don't ask that.
Oh.
I will do everything and then leave you to decide whether there's value to joining this union or not.
Okay.
But after I have done what I've done for you, there's no way as an adult to be like, nah. But it's so my point is then you can't divorce this from your Adventism.
Okay.
It is part and parcel of extending your religion, serving people in a different format. You're not serving people by preaching. You are serving people by saving their jobs now. Because when I save your job, when I represent you at the hearing and the satisfaction I get when I get an outcome to say not guilty, I sleep peacefully. And then I think about your children. If you were dismissed, they were not going to get food. Then I get that full satisfaction to say, yeah, this is beautiful. And this reward, this self-satisfaction cannot be bought by a brown envelope. Because it's something that you can't get anywhere.
Brown envelope cannot do that.
It cannot. If I come to you, you'll be like, I mean, as an adult.
ZB.
You feel like,
let's wrap up. We already wait.
Yes, I'm done.
Yeah, we need to wrap up. Now, I think we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back to the topic that Pat Matabeni mentioned, which is linking a broader economic, a capitalist economy, and its link to exploitation of labor and its relation to migration, and ultimately the conflicts that happen. But I think your point that you were making today was to be guided by what the laws of the countries are saying. But I think we still have to do another discussion, a broader conversation about the economic policy and say whether the capitalist economy can survive without the exploitation of labor and therefore the employment of people who are illegal and things of that nature. But ZB, I want to thank you for your time, and I also want to thank all our viewers for their time. It has taken much longer, but I really want to thank you so much. Jesuit is saying, thank you, Pat and Zolani. Great discussion, even though Zolani avoided the illegal immigration presence in the church and the church possibly breaking the law, electing and accepting tithes from illegal. I guess the church is accepting people as they are and working them as they are and leaving the government to deal with that.
Sorry, Prophet, do you notice why I used the word irregular? I was avoiding that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I think the role of any church is to welcome and open its arms to everyone. And I think it would probably be giving a whole responsibility to the church leaders to inspect people's legal status. But anyway, having said that, I think we're going to come to the end of this program. ZB, I want to thank you, man. And as I said, by the time we talk again, we won't be talking about this matter. We'll be talking about your other areas of expertise, because you have a lot of areas of expertise, from cooking to exercising to pathology, preclinical science, research. I mean, there's a lot going on in your life. ZB, men's issues. I don't know about, are you still selling? What was that thing?
Ipomza. Pomza.
Ipomza. You helped a lot of guys with those things, and we still have to come back and talk about those forms of ministry. But maybe you have the last word, and I want to say thank you so much, and then we call it a day.
No. I want to thank you also for the privilege, and that's all I can say. And also thank to your listeners, because I think before I came here, I was telling someone to say, look, when I come here, I can't take it for granted because people use data to listen.
Mm,
So I have to research, I have to read up, I have to bring facts. So that will bring now also credibility to your platform. So
yes,
I mean,
yes,
you've
yes.
appreciated people. I must also appreciate them for their attention.
Thank you, ZB.
Thank
We'll be
you.
in touch. Take good care. Bye. Guys,
Thank
goodbye at
you.
home. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And until we meet again to tackle another topic, I want to thank you all on all platforms and those that will be watching in the future. But thank you so much. Any question you want to ask, feel free to send it. And I really appreciate that. All the best, ZB. Take good care.
Thanks.
We'll be in touch. Bye-bye, people. Bye-bye. It's time now for your afternoon nap, preparation for work, ironing your clothes, doing all of that, and just relaxing. Cheers. Good night. Bye bye. ZB, come now, Dim Kroba. Sure.